a framed degree on their wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're
the other
gonna
one
choose
has
that
a
doctor.
chicken nailed to the wall.
Wow.
Well, that's a kind of doctor.
Hi, this is Scout
And William,
from Hypermentilating,
the podcast.
a show that follows life and change through the eyes of a father and daughter. Join us as we find our way together.
Beautiful.
For today's episode, we have a pretty good lineup. Our first topic of the day is benefits and cons of further schooling. So what we mean by that is like college or university. You want to start us off today?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, I think that...
You're doing fantastically well.
Thank you. I think that college or university is a great option if you know what you're going to do and what you want to do. I think that if you're just going to college or university for the party, or you're just going to keep switching subjects every week, I think that if you're going to go to college or university, you should have an idea of what you want to do when you're there.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Well, that's wrapped up. Yeah, I think it definitely serves a purpose at times, and at other times it's one of the most monumental wastes of 3 or 4 years of a person's life.
Yeah.
So I think it's completely circumstantial. For some people, it's exactly what they should do, and for others, it's exactly what they shouldn't do. Everybody tends to go, I think, because it's the thing you should do.
Mm-hmm. If you know you want to be a doctor or a physicist or a professor or a teacher, then yeah,
well, you have
need to get
right?
your degree. I mean,
yeah, it's the part of the game.
Yeah,
you know?
But if you're going to college just to end up being a website designer or...
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all. But I think that you're better off going to college if you know...
Website Designers Unite.
I think that you should go to college, like I said, if you know what you're going to do. And if not, then I think that you're better off just living life and seeing where it takes you. There's no limit. There's no age limit on college. You don't have to be 19 to go to college or university. I know people that are 35 and are taking college courses.
Oh, for sure. Like, you could be 80. I mean, it's higher learning. It's learning more. It's great. It's fantastic. If you want to go and learn more, you should never stop learning, right? Mm-hmm. Right. I think even sometimes when you know what you want to do, it's not necessarily the right choice. Like, it would just depend on what you... Like, what's a good example? Like a pilot. You know, Madish talks about being a pilot. So I'm sure there's aviation courses. I'm sure there's college for that and school for that. And probably if you want to become an airline pilot, I mean, I'm just guessing, but it'd probably be beneficial. I mean, you have to look into it to see if having some kind of a formal post-secondary education would be beneficial to that, playing that game. But I mean, if what you want to do is fly a plane, if you want to be a bush pilot, then you're probably better off going and working for a company that does that, you know, starting out on the ground. Like a good example would be the housing industry. Say you want to be an architect. You want to be an architect. You love Frank Lloyd Wright. You love the idea of designing a house, a beautiful house. So you're going to need to go to college or university because you need to know all of the foundational knowledge that's available for being an architect. And it's a game. You need to play that game, right? Nobody's going to hire you in an architectural firm if you haven't been to university or college. They just won't. They'll be like, well, we got to teach you everything, man. We got to show you how to hold your pencil. So then you need to go to university. But if you want to build houses... Well, I don't know that I mean, sure, you could go to university. I'm sure, again, they offer some kind of a degree in house building. But I mean, if you want to build houses, go and find the best man or woman in where you live who builds houses and find a way to get them to hire you to start working for them and learn how to build houses. Throw yourself into that. So it really depends on what it is you want to do. I know from my own experience, it can be an amazing place to go. A great place of learning and meeting like-minded people, and a fantastically rich experience in life, like to just a great thing. But I also know that it can be one of the most monumental wastes of time, like an outrageous waste of time, where you're just going through the motions and playing a game where you just tick off the boxes, and it's super expensive. So
Definitely.
That's the other thing. Like, are you going to, a lot of people don't have access to education paid for them. So if you're on the hook for it, I mean, that can be what, 80 grand, 250 grand. I mean, it depends where you go, that you can come out of that experience with that kind of debt. So that also makes it, that's a significant part of the decision-making process. Is this worth it? Does this provide value, or would you have better value provided elsewhere? And another thing, I think today, there's so much knowledge available on the internet.
Yeah. Like I said, if you know what you want to do is be a doctor, you're going to want to go to college, because say you walk into 2 different offices. One of the doctors has a plaque, a framed degree on their wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
You're
the
going
other
to
one
choose
has
that
what,
doctor.
a chicken nailed to the wall?
Wow.
Well, that's a kind of doctor.
No. You're going to choose that doctor over the doctor that doesn't have a degree.
Yeah, for sure. No question. No question. Although, even we're laughing about that, I'm sure there are guys throughout the world in different cultures and different countries that provide a humongous service of medicine, like we were talking about the other day on the podcast about natural versus, more modern medicine, right?
Yeah.
So there's probably doctors...
Go listen to that episode.
Oh, yeah, nice one. There's probably... people who provide medical services that don't have degrees that are completely useful and adept.
I mean,
but definitely, I'm not going to that dude if there is a guy beside him who's got a degree and a plaque.
I'm sure there's probably doctors in Asia somewhere, like probably study medicine, that have never gone to college but learned from their...
Absolutely, like that have thousands of years of passed on knowledge, for sure.
I mean, there might even be people like that anywhere in Europe. But I just use Asia as an example.
Then they have gone to university or college, right? It's just that it's a different version of it. So, and that's a really good point then. Like, it's the education that's valuable. It's not necessarily the piece of paper. So, and that's where we get caught up, don't we? Like, we get caught up on the piece of paper's the thing. Like, how many people do we know that have, 3 or 4 year BAs, and all they learned to do was, keggers.
Yeah.
Right? Body shots. Like, they'll freely admit, like, that was just a waste of time.
I mean, if what you want to do is become a banker or a physicist or...
Yeah, then
a professor,
there's steps you have to go through.
I mean, you can't become a professor automatically. I mean, there's steps you have to do, and there's rules you have to follow to become
but that's an interesting point right there, because there are professors at universities who aren't necessarily university educated graduates. It's just they became adept, proficient in a field, and then they were brought into the university to teach. I'm sure Steven Spielberg, for example, I was just reading something about him, so he popped into my head. I'm sure he has a university degree. But say he didn't. Say all he had was his Steven Spielberginess in being a fantastic movie creator, right? Well, people would be lined up around the block who were movie enthusiasts at university or college that wanted to learn from him. They wouldn't be caring, and nobody would be asking, like, where's your piece of paper? They'd be like, yeah, man, I saw Jaws, I saw Raiders, they'd be lining up.
Yeah, like, I don't know, was it I think it was the guy that made Microsoft. What's his name?
No, one of them was Alan and Gates.
Bill Gates, I think. He probably went to college for something.
Oh, I think he did for sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
He probably went to college. But once again, say he didn't. You know?
There are, yeah.
Didn't he make Microsoft out of his garage, basically?
That's actually a whole other... He actually bought it from a guy who developed the system. Yeah, he paid a guy like $60,000 to buy the MS-DOS, the original operating system, because he saw the value in it.
Yeah.
And then he was more of a... He was one of those guys who knew he knows the value of things.
Then... I don't know.
And
it was one of those
too.
guys who had his 2 siblings. This doesn't really relate to what we're talking about, but I just thought it was interesting. He had both of his siblings, I think his brother and his sister, invest $10,000 in his company. I don't know who the guy was, but it was one of those Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg.
You were just telling me about this the other day.
Yeah, I think
Trying to remember
was.
who it was, because that was a good story.
Had his 2 siblings invest $10,000 in his company. Those shares of the company are now worth $1.3 billion today. And those will just keep growing. That's what they are as of right now. But they could be anywhere from, in 10 years, they could be $2 billion.
And your basic point is that, you don't necessarily need a degree to be successful, which is it's totally true. Like, there are plenty of examples of people who have succeeded without having that degree.
But I'm not throwing shade to college or university because it's a great thing. I mean, it's further schooling.
There's more examples of people who have completely failed in life without a degree probably than there are the opposite, right?
Definitely.
Like, I think that higher education is a hugely advantageous thing.
Too.
I just think that sometimes it's better to step back and say, okay, what is higher education? It doesn't necessarily have to be university or college. It could be going out and learning, like starting to work for a contractor and learning how to build a house from the ground up and spending 10 years apprenticing like that. And if you have a facility for it, well, then, you'll advance. Your life will go in that direction and it'll be well rewarded. So I think higher education, critical, right? What form that takes needs some thought and it's completely individual. A lot of times it's a game, and the game requires a BA, or I think less and less that's becoming important, though.
I think we can agree that further schooling is a good thing if you know what you're gonna do, but we can also agree that it's not completely necessary to have a successful way of life.
Perfect.
Okay. Our next topic is the witch trials. I'm really excited about this topic. Basically, I'm just going to say tests that they would use to see if the woman was a witch or not. And then you and I are going to have a conversation about the test. Okay?
Alrighty.
So the first test that I want to talk about is the devil's mark. And this was when the devil would mark a witch to show their obedience to him. And supposedly they would scratch these women, the devil would scratch the women, poke them with a hot rod, or really anything that could mark someone permanently. So
the devil just popped in and brought his branding iron.
Yeah.
All right.
So when they were trying to find out if someone was a witch or not, they would strip them down and look
what is
for...
a witch?
I don't know.
But that's what I always wonder when you think about these people doing this, like, oh, you're a witch. Okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What were they accusing them of?
Well, I saw something that said
being weird, being different.
Yeah,
that's my guess.
Something I saw. Apparently, I read something that said that if they looked different, or if they acted different, like they didn't reach the normalities of a normal person, normal air quotation marks.
Yeah.
So yeah, they would strip these women down and they would look for any sign of a mark anywhere on the woman's body.
So they're greasy perverts on top of that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. So these women would just be in such a vulnerable position, knowing that if they find the smallest mark on their body, that she's gonna get murdered. So yeah, the devil would supposedly put these marks in strange places, like the eyelid, under an armpit.
So it's an excuse for these greasy perverts to get up close and personal.
I mean, yeah.
It's just awful. Can you imagine?
It's terrible.
Just because you're different? Oh my.
Yeah, because you have one green eye and one blue eye. You're
exactly,
a witch.
Right?
Like,
exactly.
And now
or
it's crazy
you have a funny way of talking. Or
a lisp.
More likely, you looked at somebody in a position of power in a way they didn't like, or dismissed their advances.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more likely what happened.
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy to think that now what was weird back then, most likely now is looked at as a beauty standard or cool or interesting.
Or just how it is.
Yeah, exactly. So that specific thing is something that they don't really talk about much when they talk about witch trials, but was something that was definitely used.
And what about if the witch is doing good? What about if it's somebody who's being accused, who uses whatever powers of empathy or herbal understandings or just general, intelligence to aid people, to help them get over small problems? Or so what, you taking her out too? Like, or him? I guess if it's a warlock, they dusted off some guys in Salem too.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was like 4 guys they took out there. I think it's just an excuse. That's what I think, right? Like, literally the phrase now has become witch hunt. It's a witch hunt, which means that you're going after people based on nothing, for no reason. Like, that's where the expression came from, right? A witch hunt, because it's pretty much universally agreed now that chucking a person into a river, and if they drown, they're not a witch, and if they don't drown, then they're a witch, is some outrageous stupidity.
I know, because either way, they're getting killed.
It's just stupid.
And
that's a rigged game.
Yeah.
Wow.
One of the other things that they would use in the medieval times, not just for witch trials, but in general to see if someone was guilty or not, was they would take a red hot metal pipe. Burning pipe, and place it on someone's hand for, 3 seconds or something. They had to grab it, and then they would remove the pipe. If the 3rd degree burns on the hand didn't heal in 3 days, they were guilty. And if they did, which never happened, then they weren't guilty, but it never happened.
It's just unspeakable acts of cruelty to your fellow person, simply to get the outcome that you desire. Yeah, and the thing that people most talk about or probably what people think of when they think of witch trials, is burning them. It was to cleanse them from their devil's mark, or to just cleanse them was the idea. And there had to have been lots of people in the town or the village gathered around watching somebody being burned alive. Can you imagine? And there had to be lots of people in that collective that were like, nah, this is nonsense. This is wrong. We've crossed the line here, man. We are, all of us, guilty of far greater crimes than we're accusing this person of. Yeah. I mean, it's just, the things they would do were just so, barbaric and silly. Silly, just dumb. Forget the barbaricness of it, because that's obvious. I mean, it's so stupid. Well, I always think of the drowning one, right? I mean, yeah. Were there not people in the town standing on the bank of the river going, no, this is stupid? And they did that for everyone in the medieval times. In the medieval times, that was a well-known thing they would do to see if someone was guilty or not. It wasn't just for the witches. Oh, really? And so, if someone stole bread, I'm guessing when you ask people, if you could live in any time, what time would you live in? I bet you nobody says medieval times. You know what? When I was younger, I did. Because when I thought of medieval times, I thought of corsets and
hoop skirts and castles and dragons.
Oh, so
and, you know,
princessy stuff.
Yeah, because people romanticize the medieval times to little kids. And in books, they always say that princesses, a lot of the times, lived in the medieval times. They say sometimes.
I guess you're right. That's true.
So
they do that. Because
kids,
then they can bring in, like, the angry ogres and the bad witches and stuff.
Yeah, so when I was little,
right.
like,
I never
to
thought
me,
of that.
it was living in a castle and being saved and killing dragons. Like, that's what the medieval times were to me.
Yeah.
But when I started, like, there's this one girl on YouTube.
Learning outside of Disney.
Yeah. There's this one girl on YouTube
Pixar,
called Jessie V, who does videos on a lot of these things. She does, like, paranormal videos.
Shout out to
too.
Jessie V.
Yeah. She does, like, paranormal videos, but my favorite videos are the ones where she talks about real things that actually happened, because she's, like, a history teacher.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it is. Madish and I used to talk about her a lot, so... And another thing that they would do was a method called prickers. And this was when they would find the marks on women anywhere on the body. They would take... Which
everybody's got birthmarks that you could look at and go, oh,
I have
there
a
we go,
birthmark on
devil's
my back.
mark.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
So they would take needles or a small, frail knife, prickers, and they would prick the woman's devil's mark. And
You're
if
really
the
enjoying
woman,
saying that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like, you can say it's sanctioned.
And if the woman wouldn't bleed, she was considered a witch. And something that makes me so angry was that the men that were poking the women...
What, if they wouldn't bleed?
If they wouldn't bleed, so if they didn't bleed, they were witches.
Well, that would be reasonable, that one.
Just wait.
All right.
So... the judges, or really anyone, would pay the pricking men to prick these women with fake or dull utensils. Prickers. They would use dull prickers.
Okay, all right.
To jab at the woman.
Yeah.
So these men would be making money off of women's lives. So... say they would get paid a certain amount of money to stab a woman with a fake or not sharp pricker. I mean, yeah. And so...
Well, so to make sure there was blood.
No, to make sure that there wasn't.
To make sure there wasn't.
Yeah, because if they were...
Oh,
if they
I see what you're saying. All right. But I don't understand that one, because if you stab somebody, you give somebody if you prick somebody and they don't bleed... Well, that is kind of weird, isn't it? Like, aren't you supposed to bleed?
Yeah, but then it was rigged because...
All right, I get it now. I get it. Oh, that one's, yeah. Yeah, like, that's just evil. That's just purely evil.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, right? These, they're always the pretense with these witch hunts is that the other person is evil, that you're trying to find and root out evil. Yeah. And it's like, you're evil. The people who are doing it are way, way more evil than anybody who's just walking around being an oddball.
So another thing that was kind of nasty was, it was called a witch cake. And these cakes were used to determine if sick people were sick because of common sickness or by witches' magic. And this cake was made out of the urine of the accused witch. And this cake was fed to a dog. If the dog showed symptoms of the sickness that the human had, or any sickness, then that was enough evidence to prove that the witch was guilty. And also, if the dog drank or ate the cake, he would be able to point to the witch.
Oh, okay. Like, this is, I mean, my
He'd be
God,
able to stand up on his hind legs and point to the witch that they used the urine of in the cake.
Yeah, this is starting to not make sense to me.
Yeah, it was like, insane and barbaric and just so stupid. Like, it just shows, reading these things to me is just kind of realizing how much we've evolved in the past how many hundreds of years. You know, it's just showing me how much we've evolved as humans.
I guess. I feel like our witch hunts have just become more sophisticated. Like there's still some just outrageous stupidity. I think you look at social media, it's just full of stupidity where people are going, yep, that's what she said, that's what he said, must be true. So how is that different, right? Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
Witch trials, super weird. That could have easily been a weird topic too.
It could have, yeah.
It's very interesting to me. Very interesting. All right, we seem to have managed to get well into our allotted time here for this week. So, should we? How do you want to proceed?
Okay, I say that we skip our book review for today and save it for another book review episode, and just skip ahead to our what if segment.
All right, perfect.
Okay. So I have 2 what ifs planned for us. And
I like this segment.
Yeah, me too. This is probably my favorite. So the first what if is, what if you were an animal? What animal would you be? You can go ahead and start us off.
I don't know. This is one of those questions you always play this game, right? And I waffle. Because I want to be this animal, then I want to be that animal. But if I had to choose one, it's probably going to be a bird, like an eagle, something majestic flying thing. Yeah, okay. Because I want to fly.
Okay, see, I would have sworn that you would have chosen monkey.
Yeah, but I already am a monkey, right? Yeah. Like I'm a monkey without good monkey skills. Like I can't do any good swinging but I am so, you know.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be fun to be, a bird. I'd love to fly. Like, imagine, and an eagle. Imagine they go miles up in the air and have that wicked eyesight where they can see like a mouse scurrying in a field from 2 miles in the air.
See a mouse from 200 feet away for?
Feet, miles. Their eyesight is outrageous. It's like telescopic, because that's how they get their prey, right? They're up there flying around and they see a little mouse going through a field and the mouse doesn't even know it's there. I mean, I don't know. I'm not so much that I'm looking to attack, kill, and eat a mouse as part of the experience. I'm just saying the eyesight's phenomenal. Think about the ones that hunt in the ocean. And they can see the fish swimming, and then you see those slow motion videos where they come soaring in and they dive bomb into the ocean.
First.
Yeah, and then they grab the fish, and then they come out, and you can see the wings flapping slowly while the water's dripping off. I mean, it's not such a spectacular event for the fish stuck in its claws.
No,
but you know.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one.
To be able to fly, just to be able to soar and to bank, and it'd be beautiful.
I'm like you, I go back and forth, but I'd want to be something like a leopard or a lion.
Yeah.
Something like that, something big.
A big cat.
Yeah, something cool like that. I mean, I'm pretty good with the animal I am, the human animal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it would probably, you know what, a bird would be pretty cool. But then like a small monkey would be awesome. I mean, their lifespan is pretty long. They can swing and jump from trees. Imagine how fun that would be.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm probably going to have to jump between...
I like the big cat thing, though, too.
Yeah, I'd probably have to jump between being a leopard or a cheetah and a monkey.
Why a leopard or a cheetah in particular?
Because the speed.
Yeah.
Like, you know how fun it would be to just rip through a meadow?
Amazing.
Like, just at full speed.
Yeah.
That would be cool. But then you have to take into account, like, the hunting that humans like to do with us.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying I'd trade.
Yeah.
I'm just, like, I'm happy. No, man,
I'm more just talking about the animal that I would like to be.
When the other animals sit around going, hey, Bob, what kind of animal would you like to be? I'm sure they all choose human.
Yeah.
We're the only ones who don't choose human.
When I was little, I used to want to be a pigeon. Because we would go to bird park and we'd feed the pigeons.
Yeah.
And I just thought, man, what a life, you know, like they get to just rip around, go to the beach. Humans want to pet them.
Oh, remember that when we were we'd go and feed the pigeons down in the Malecon, and
Yeah.
there was remember that demented, deformed pigeon? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We have pictures somewhere.
Yeah, he was weird.
Crazy,
looking.
like bulge on his head and everything.
And I could have sworn when I was younger, I came across a picture of him. I don't remember where or what folder, but I saw a picture. And the guy, like when I was younger, I thought that, you know, he had an eye bulging out and claws missing. And now I obviously saw the photo and I was like, okay, he's still weird looking, but...
Oh, yeah. But he was functioning.
Oh, yeah.
He was like the dude from the other episode with the spike through the head. He was the pigeon version of that guy.
Yes.
he got a spike through the head, but he
Yeah.
could still rip around and grab
Exactly.
chunks of bread.
So, yeah.
All right.
Cheetah or monkey?
All right. I'm sticking with big, like an eagle. One
Okay.
of those big, huge birds.
Okay, I want to start us off with this next one.
All right.
And this next one is, what if you had your dream backyard? What would it look like? Okay, so for me, you know, I planned my house. I've had like the same house in my head for 8 years.
Yeah.
And,
Although it does undergo some pretty significant renos occasionally.
but the backyard has always stayed pretty similar on the same sort of track. And basically my dream backyard would have a pool and a pond and obviously your stream, and we'll go over the main amenity at the end of my backyard. Basically, there would just be flowers, there would be a greenhouse where I grew my food and my flowers.
A greenhouse?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the first I heard of the greenhouse.
No, when Heather and I were talking about my dream house, I was talking about a greenhouse. Ask her.
Oh, I have no doubt that it's true. I am not doubting the veracity of your statement.
And then, it would basically just be really green. There would be a forest, a pool. Like I said, there would be a water slide in it, and not one of those dinky Costco water slides. You know, I'm talking about one that man-made with cement, shined cement, so that it doesn't hurt. With, water coming down it. But yeah, there'd just be a lot of greenery, a lot of space to run around. And then...
So this is a medieval backyard without the trolls and the witches and...
I mean, kind of.
Mm-hmm, that's what it sounds like to me.
And... yeah, there would be a waterfall in the pool.
Oh, well, of course.
Not a big waterfall,
No, you gotta have
but
a waterfall.
it would be coming down the sides of the water slide.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
And then the best part would be your little cabin next to the stream.
Far away from your waterfall and slide, let me tell you.
Heck no.
Oh, heck yeah.
No.
That just sounds like noise central.
No.
Yeah.
It wouldn't. It would be a yummy sound, the waterfall.
Yeah, the waterfall might be a yummy sound, but the slide is going to be just a noise central.
Yeah. It would just sound like a waterfall.
The slide?
Mm-hmm.
No, the slide's going to have creatures crawling all over it, screaming all the time. You can't have a slide if you don't have creatures. You got to have creatures. Did you forget about
Fair
the
enough.
creatures?
But yeah, your cottage.
Or is the slide just for you?
Yeah. Any creatures that try and get on it are going to be pushed out of the way because I'll be going down it.
Oh, so you're gonna push your kids out of the way. They're gonna be on your slide, and you're gonna be like,
Yeah.
"That's my slide."
Yeah.
Oh wow. No, okay. So your kids are gonna be at my cabin all the time.
Yeah.
That's what they're gonna
Most
be.
likely complaining
Yeah.
that they can't go down the slide.
Yeah. Grandpa, Mommy won't let us on the slide again.
Go ahead, you tell us your backyard.
Well, my backyard is a creek or a stream with a big tree I could sit under,
And your
that's
front
it.
yard is my backyard.
My front yard's irrelevant. As long as I have a creek and a big tree, and whatever's behind me is going to be considered not at all. Unless it's too close to a slide with screaming creatures.
Creatures?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you consider Madish and I? Creatures?
Yeah, at times, no question. Do you not consider yourself thus at times?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think you have a creature element?
Mm-mm.
Well, I beg to differ.
I'm special.
I mean, everything has creature qualities.
Wow. So you're a creature?
Yeah. Are we
course
not?
you are.
Are we not creatures,
Yeah.
daughter? Are
Yeah.
we not creatures?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Alrighty.
Nah.
I
I'm
mean-
sure that I will love your creatures.
Oh, good.
I will try my best.
Yeah.
But as long as I'm sitting with my giant tree between me and your creatures while I'm listening to my perfectly formed and flowing creek or stream, then I'm sure I will be able to embrace your creatures.
Oh, goody. Great.
So there you go. That's all I need.
All right, this was a pretty successful episode.
I think so.
Yeah.
I believe it was.
I'll do the outro too. Ready? Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. Like and subscribe. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, don't you want to do your voice? Yeah.
No. I don't.
Why? That could be your signature.
Thank you very much for this episode.
No, you got to put your heart into it, man. You got to put your back into it.
Thank you very much for this episode.
No, you're not going for it.
Anyways.
All right.
Thank you
One day
for
you will.
listening.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you, Irish. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, me too.
As always, it's a pleasure to sit here with you and yak.
Yes. As me to you. Tune in next Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. All right, I love you.
I love you too.
Next time.
Next time. I love you. Bye.
Bye.